often see people complaining about Senn, but what I never really see is people trying to actively fix his character, mainly because it's such a gigantic task given how large Songs of War is and how deeply rooted his issues are in his character's themes. As an active member of the Songs of War community, I'm here to bring all of our ideas, our theories, and our thoughts together into one ultimate video which can hopefully find a way to make Senn a more compelling character. So sit back, grab your popcorn, maybe play a game with us in the background. Let's dive right in. By the way, this rewrite starts from Season 2, so you don't need to retcon any information to make this work. Now, first, let's dissect what exactly is wrong with Senn. The most common criticism about Senn's character is that he has no arc. And just to clarify, an arc is when a character goes through change. But why should we give Senn an arc? Well, it's simply because Senn lives in such a vast and diverse world that to see him go through all of these major events and come out completely unchanged is very unsatisfying. Like, please, we just want to see how this stuff affects him. Make him a real character who has a stance on the situation. That's what we're here to see. That's why we like Thalius, that's why we like Ingressus, that's why we like Chigren. I'm getting tongue-tied. Point is, they have stances, they have thoughts, they're cohesive characters who have wants, motivations, and most importantly of all, conflicts. Senn has none of that. So our first order of business is giving Senn a conflict. And luckily for us, this has already been decided. It just wasn't executed very well. Senn's main deal is that he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know what he comes from, and most importantly, he is known as the clanless Ardoni. His journey is finding who he is in the world. And that is by far the most interesting thing about Senn. And the reason behind this is because Senn is actually a Voltaris, the main enemy of the storyline, although he does not know it. Senn coming to this realization that he's a Voltaris and grappling with the conflict of what he is should be the heart of this show, because it is by far the most enjoyable thing we've all seen come out of Senn. But even when it did come from Senn, it was extremely weak. So let's work together to strengthen this. Let's make a quick summary of all the plot points he has to go through to make his full arc, and then we'll figure out why each plot point was weak, and most importantly how we can improve them. Step 1. Voltaris hater. Thankfully this step has already been set up for us really easily, being that they killed his entire family, and the place he was from. So naturally this should upset his character very extremely. However, in the main series, it doesn't really seem to bother him that much. So this brings us to the first change I'm making to Senn. Senn is now scared of being possibly a Voltaris. It is the last thing he wants. This is the first step of his arc. This establishes his starting point, and more importantly, this is the scene I wrote. Senn is standing on the balcony, looking out to the distance, clearly lost in thought. Gallius approaches him and asks him what's wrong. Senn explains that with Thalius gone, he's had a lot of time to think. Gallius asks if he was thinking about his past, to which Senn gives a slight nod in response. Gallius tries to lighten the mood. Maybe you're a Voltaris, you've got that serious look they've always got. Senn did not find that funny. Gallius immediately notices his shift in mood and raises a hand in apology. My apologies, Senn. Gallius reflects. He says that he often wonders what drives the Voltaris, their motives, what they truly want. He's been very curious about this. But Senn interrupts him frustratedly. He explains that his father was killed by the Voltaris, and they slaughtered him without a second thought. How is Senn supposed to believe that they're not just heartless murderers? Gallius lets out a long sigh. He asks Senn if he truly believes that all this war and all this death and all this destruction came from nothing. He explains that there's always something more that they can't see. Senn responds angry. He's struggling with his emotions, explaining that Sivian was the kindest man he ever knew, and never had the time to realize all the stuff that he had done for him before it was too late. Gallius firmly responds that he isn't saying that they're in the right, but he thinks there's more to the Voltaris than just blind hatred. He explains that even the Voltaris have reasons for what they've done. Senn retorts firmly that he doesn't care what the reasons are. They destroyed his life and his family. That's all he knows. Gallius leans back as he watches Senn storm away angrily, still consumed by the rage and hurt. The seeds of doubt for the Voltaris have now been planted, but Senn isn't ready to face them yet. We transition to Senn's room. It's dimly lit and Senn sits on the edge of his bed. He is lost in thought. A soft knock sounds at the door. Gallius asks if he can come in. Senn nods. Gallius explains that he's sorry for earlier, and that he shouldn't have brought up the Voltaris. He knows that Senn is in a rough place, and he was just ignoring that. But Senn sighs, and he apologizes too. He explained that he spent his whole life not knowing where he belongs, and the one place he was named after is now burnt to the ground. Senn truly believes that the Voltaris are complete evil. They ruined his life, they killed his family, they took everything he knew about himself, and they must be taken to justice. Senn explains that he doesn't want to kill anyone, but if given the chance, he would kill a Voltaris in the blink of an eye. That is a promise that he will make to Gallius. Senn doesn't know what he would do with himself if he became a Voltaris, God forbid. Now, this scene is really important because of the very end. Senn promises that if he finds a Voltaris, that he will kill it. This is a testament to how much he hates the Voltaris, how much they have ruined his life, and how much he does not want to be one. And this is a promise that we bring directly into challenge in my next scene, the scene where he finds his brother. Originally, it's kind of a cheap scene. It's mostly just a shock value thing. Senn's like, oh my god, my brother's a Voltaris. Then he decides not to go back with Rhea. I want to add 3 things to the scene. 1. I want to add conflict with the promise that Senn just made to Gallius. Senn explains that he doesn't want to kill anyone, but if given the chance, he would kill a Voltaris in the blink of an eye. Will he kill his brother when he has the chance, or will he heal him to keep him alive? 2. I want to give Senn the option to go to the Voltaris base willingly. Rather than it being a shock factor, he actively chooses to stay behind and to go with them instead of going with Rhea. And lastly, I want to really emphasize the fact that Rhea hates the Voltaris too. This puts Senn between 2 grim options. Does he go with Rhea and leave his Voltaris brother to die, or does he stay behind to heal him? This is how I imagine my rewrite going. Senn is fighting a Voltaris. Eventually he overcomes the Voltaris and has him pinned to the floor with his sword. He remembers vividly what he promised to Gallius. He would kill a Voltaris in the blink of an eye. Now is the time to see if he can. But before he has the chance to, the Voltaris speaks up. No, it can't be you. Brother, he says. Senn's sword freezes. His eyes widen in shock and his breath catches in his throat as he processes the words. He looks at the markings on the chest. That is definitely his brother. Senn surprisingly repeats to himself, my brother? Delphius nods faintly. He winces in pain. Senn drops to his knees and stares at his brother with disbelief and confusion washing over him. However, Delphius' light is fading a lot. Senn says aloud, no, you're supposed to be dead. You're all supposed to be dead. Before Senn can finish the scene, a protesium shield suddenly forms around Delphius, trapping him inside. Rhea arrives, her face stern and urgent. Rhea explains to Senn that they have to go now. Senn stumbles back, eyes still fixed on Delphius. His voice is shaking and he is frantic. But no, he's hurt. I need to help him. Rhea is firm and almost cold. It doesn't matter if he's your brother. He's a Voltaris. You can't trust him. Senn stands frozen. His thoughts are racing. He looks between Rhea and Delphius. Senn pulls out a Saporium song and looks to Rhea. Please, just let me heal him. If I leave him here, he is going to die. At this point, Rhea is desperate. She's almost pleading for Senn to go with her. Senn, please, he'll kill you if you stay. He's not your family, etc., etc. If you stay, I can't protect you, Senn. You'll be on your own. You need to make a decision right now. Senn quietly, with conviction, says, I can't let him die. I won't. She lowers the protesium shield around Delphius. Senn pulls out his Saporium and begins to heal Delphius. His glow is restored. Delphius groans, alive but weak. Thank you. But in the distance we see Rhea disappearing on her Ender Dragon into the snowstorm, leaving Senn kneeling in the snow beside Delphius. Okay, yeah, so that's my idea for that. I truly think that's a lot more of a compelling way for Senn to get to the Voltaris base, rather than him finding Delphius and being very shocked and then rejecting Rhea for some reason and just going. Now he had to make a conscious decision between saving his brother and going with Rhea. Now, let's move to the next plot point. After meeting Almrak, Senn goes up to Ingressus' headquarters to have a chat. This scene is all about showing Deathsinger's past and the truth about the Voltaris, at least from his point of view. And although this might be a necessary step, it was done quite lazily. When Senn asks the simple question of why Ingressus wants the Prime songs, he doesn't give him the answer, oh, they're simply addictive. He goes into an in-depth explanation of his entire story. Not only is this overkill, but it's clearly exposition.
And leave you in peace.
Why do you want the Prime songs? If you say you will leave us in peace, then what need do you have for such power?
There was a time when all 5 Ardoni clans lived in harmony. The Voltaris were the youngest clan, and perhaps the most curious about the very nature of songs. But many opposed this research, and tensions arose between the clans. That at this time, we made the greatest discovery of all, the Prime songs. However, there were only 4. The other clans decided to split the Primes amongst themselves, and the Voltaris were denied a share of that power. We demanded a fair compromise. The clans united against us and banished us from Ardonia, but we were a stubborn clan and refused to leave. But they still had the greatest weapon of all. Each season they would hold a tournament, and the victor would be given the Prime song. These champions were then tasked to hunt down and destroy the Voltaris. Your friend Thalius Sendaris was one such champion. One by one, our havens fell. I was raised in a small camp. It was here the final slaughter of our people took place. I still remember watching as everyone I'd ever known was killed. The master of our clan at the time, Dominus, hurried me out of the battle and imparted to me both Voltar and leadership of the clan. Dominus was killed, and I alone escaped. You will not find these tales on the walls of time. You may attempt to tell others of this truth, but none shall believe you. You do not understand the power of the Prime songs. They have an irresistible allure, one that corrupts your very nature.
As soon as an audience realizes that you're trying to sneak information in with other questions, they're going to sense that and realize that this story is being made for them. And that absolutely ruins immersion. And then when Ingressus is done oversharing, he simply says,
Why have you told me all this?
Because you asked, Senn.
When in reality, Senn didn't actually ask about all of that. There's an easy way to fix this. Senn is naturally curious about the Voltaris. After his new conflict, he has the complete reason to be able to ask about their history. So instead of having Senn ask about the Prime songs, have him ask about the Voltaris themselves. This way we can get the background in a way that makes sense. It's the actual answer to an actual legitimate question. And the important thing is that Senn is now interested in more than just Ingressus himself. He's interested in all Voltaris, so when he asks this question, he's not just asking about Ingressus' backstory, he's asking to be filled in on everything, just like the audience wants to be. And now with these 2 scenes essentially making up the first and second third of Senn's arc, there's only 1/3 left, which is his acceptance stage. In the original show, it goes like this.
Please, Senn. Do you see now, Senn?
You're right. They're all gone.
And soon, I will join them.
Ingressus, I'm sorry.
I tried. All my life, I tried to save my people from exile and slaughter. But I was wrong. So many times. Wrong to ally with the Nether. Wrong to kill my closest brother. The Voltaris are no more.
You haven't lost everyone. I will restore the Voltaris clan, and everyone will know who fought to save them.
Thank you. Thank you, Senn. I am glad to see the sun set. one more time.
So thanks to our rewrite, that ending holds a lot more gravity. Not only is Senn satisfying to watch in his last moments, but he's satisfying to watch all of the way through. Imagine how powerful Senn's character could have been if he felt these ways since the start of Season 1. Unfortunately, they didn't do that though. Now, after essentially shitting on the writing of Songs of War for a full frickin' 12, 14 minutes, I want to reiterate the fact that I love the series. I think the visuals are amazing, I think the voice actors did great, and I think it's insane that it even was made in the first place. Not only do I love the series, but I have both high respect for past and present workers of Square Media. Except for David. Anyway, I just really want to iterate the fact that even though I'm giving a lot of criticisms, I truly love Songs of War with all my heart. And it's obvious that now we're at the end of the series, we're also at the end of the video. That was my Senn rewrite. That's how I'd add conflict, that's how I'd give him opinions, and that's how I'd make not only him, but the scenes that he's in way more interesting to the audience, to me, and to all the Songs of War fans who have been complaining about Senn for the last 4 years. I'd quite like to hear what you guys think about this rewrite. Was it good? Was it bad? What would you change about my changes? I'm quite interested to read the comments on this, assuming that it gets at least 100 views or so. But yeah, I had fun. I hope you had fun watching. I'll see you guys next time.